I think one of the things that we're really lacking these days in the world that I'm seeing is character. Our children's character and those values are kind of lying dormant. So thank you, everybody here, for what you're doing, because that's how we raise a good nation.
That is true. It all starts with the younger generation, because they are, after all, the future generation. Yeah. Looking at the ad and knowing the foundation of knowledge that you have, what do you feel are like the most difficult challenges parents face nowadays?
Well, every culture, what we'd actually discover is that parents raise their children based on the culture that is now in. And we're a different culture of what's happening, clearly different. The most important things that our children, we now know worldwide, are worried about, first is safety. That's at the top of the list, and that's why family bonding and getting back together and feeling calm with our children is so critical. The second big difference is everybody's plugged in. The internet is making a major difference on our children, on how they turn out, but also on our family relationships, because if we're not careful, we plug in, but we plug out to one another, and that is a disaster to our kids. And then the third thing I think is happening is that across the world, what I'm seeing is we put more and more emphasis on the test scores, as opposed to who the child is and how they're becoming. And as a result, our children don't have as much time to have a childhood or just have those memories with us, because they're always doing and we are always busy, which puts guilt on all of us. No matter what we do, parenting is always about guilt. Yeah, that's the one commonality in every culture.
If you notice, I believe we heard quite a laughter from the parents, because we can all relate to that guilty feeling. Okay, so you're talking about the influence of internet, you're talking about test scores. When we talk about internet, for example, what advice can you give the parents out there with regards to children's viewing time, being on the internet, and us as parents too?
Well, the first thing I think is we all need to take a reality check. We all think, oh, it must be the neighbors. It certainly isn't us and our children being so plugged in. But honestly, Philippines, you have more cell phones than human beings. So you want to think about it. The one commonality I see is no matter what speech I'm at, everybody's running to go be able to plug back in. So the first thing is, do just take a quiet little reflection moment without your kids watching, and check in how often you are all plugged in. How often are your children viewing a TV, viewing an iPad, viewing and texting? Our middle school kids say they're more comfortable texting than talking, and that's a danger, because they're looking down, not up. And the longer you look down, what we're actually discovering, the lower your emotional literacy scores go, and that's the seeds for respect and empathy. Second of all is, go ahead, be the parent, and start to say no. You're going to get resistance from the kids, but that's what a kid's supposed to do. They're supposed to resist you, but you're supposed to say no. Figure out where you want your unplugged times to be. And I would say, number one, in fact, kids have told us, the number one time they think that everybody should have their cell phones down is during family meals. In fact, we all think it's the kids who are too plugged in. 66% of kids say we're the ones too plugged in. So put your cell phones down so you can enjoy your children, because there's no rewind button on parenting.
Yes. That is so true, parents. You know, we're all nodding, but that's also a nod of guilt, because yes, I am plugged in too. So during family meals, no cell phones.
No cell phones. You absolutely, I mean, you can put an emergency dial in just in case there's an absolute, something that's dire necessity. But certainly during family meals, because I think that's the key that's creating your lifetime rituals, your memories. You're tuning into one another. There's no greater parenting toolkit than being able to look in your child's eyes and figure out how are they doing. And that's what you need, is those relaxed little rituals that are fun, and they create the long-term connection memories. I mean, you know, think about it. 40 years from now, rewind and pretend you're all at a family reunion and you're listening to your kids describe you and how you're doing. And if you think, well, she drives a great carpool, or she's really stressed all the time, or she was always plugged in, isn't going to create the memories.
We're going to quote something that came from you. You stated that what kind of children do we hope to raise?
I think it's the single greatest question any nation can ask yourself, and at this point I'm very, very serious. We as nations, no matter what nation it is, and I've worked on almost 43 of them, The greatest question you need to sit down and say to yourself, as a society, how do we want our kids to turn out? And the fascinating thing is we've got a lot more influence and control than we ever realized. IQ is pretty much genetically correlated, but character is all about something that is formed. We can cultivate it. In fact, our children are hardwired for goodness. So a big question is, sit down and look at your own child and fast forward him and pretend he's 40. What are the values you want to see in your child? If you can answer that question, I think that's the greatest single question a parent can ask. I want him to be respectful, or I want him to be kind, or I want him to be honest. Whatever the values is, if you can think about it and say that's what matters most, all of your parenting will align with it. You'll be able to find dozens of simple, no-cost ways to weave it in.
Wow. So we all just, that was deep, right?